my name's Nathan.
I'm Zach.
And welcome back to another Actors On Set podcast, where today we are joined by an actor. It's almost like, you know, we're trying to do things that are relevant to the podcast now. So via Zoom, we've got Jack Parry-Jones. Hello, Jack.
What was that?
He's laughing at us for trying to be professional.
That was wicked. That was wicked. I don't know why you put the emphasis on actor in the way that you did, but I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Yeah, well, we tend to. It's normally us two just talking to ourselves about things. So it's nice to have somebody joining us, even if it is via Zoom.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So first of all, you're a RADA boy. So we wanted to talk a little bit about that, because often actors come to us with the question of, should they go to drama school? If they do go to drama school, you know, and kind of weighing that up with perhaps shorter courses, whether that's with somebody like us here at Actor Studio, or, you know, there's so many different providers now. What do you think is, you know, in terms of where you are now, you've established yourself, you've picked up some fantastic work along the way. Looking back at your time at RADA versus some of the courses that are available now, what do you think some of the options are that actors should be considering if they are kind of in a position where they're thinking, right, should I go to drama school, or should I perhaps see if I can accumulate some credits and attend shorter courses?
No, it's a really interesting thing, because I teach at drama schools now, which has honestly been such a lovely thing, because I never ever thought that I wanted to teach. I thought that was the furthest thing from what I'd be interested in, but actually getting to grips with people and you know, imparting whatever knowledge you've got, it also reinforces the fact that you've got knowledge, which is really lovely. But also teaching on courses like yours, like there's, I think that I like the phrase different horses for different courses, and I think that drama school is not going to be for everyone.
Yeah.
So doing a course like yours might be more of what is suited to them, because, you know, like you do get a fantastic bit of training, and it is wicked. But like, even now I'm 12 years into my career, and I'm still learning stuff, and I'm still, like, you know, trying to read more about acting, still trying to practice more stuff, still figuring stuff out as I go along. Like, you know, I qualified as a PT, as a personal trainer back in like 2016, something like that. Hated that. That was dreadful. I don't know why I did that to myself. Because it turns out that I enjoy training, but I enjoy training myself. That's it. But it's that again has added knowledge to that I didn't have before. That's about the way that my body works, and all of that stuff that I didn't necessarily pick up when I was at drama school. Now, if you ask me about RADA, there were parts of it that I really loved. Parts of it that were just absolutely awesome. Like, you know, I met some of my best friends there that are still friends to this day. Like Sue Dunderdale was who was also taught on your course, and it's just like, I think she's the most underappreciated person in our industry, because she's worked with and she's taught like some absolutely like fantastic actors. And to be honest, when I was taught by her, and I was taught by her about halfway through my second year, and I was still trying to put stuff together. I was still trying to put stuff together with Stanislavski and all that stuff, the stuff that we were taught. But I was so instinctive as an actor, and I was desperately trying to get better at this intellectual side of my training. And Sue just made it all make sense. In the space of a term, I went from kind of going, I don't get this, and like having done it for like a year and a bit, I was like, I don't get this. Why is it not clicking? She made everything click. But that doesn't mean that you just get that at drama school. You might do a course. You might do a Meisner course. You might do any sort of course where you can get to grips with the craft just a little bit more. And it might just click. it might just be the thing that you go, oh my God, I get this now, and I get how to make myself better at it. And I think that that's what it's about, is just making yourself better at it.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily matter how you do that. Drama school, do a bunch of courses and just keep learning. Some people, like I've got mates that never went to drama school, like, you know, literally just started working.
Yeah.
And they've learned on the job.
Lucky people. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very, very lucky people. And you just kind of go, like, and they're still awesome. They're still really great actors. I think that sometimes there's a snobbishness attached to drama school, and whether you've been or not. And like, you know, sometimes people look down on you if you haven't done it.
Yeah.
But it is like, you know, who cares?
Yeah.
You mentioned a few interesting points there, actually, and it's the fact that you're still learning. You know, even actors. I mean, we get it all the time. We get actors that come in here that are, you know, very well established, and they've got fantastic CVs, and I think perhaps those who are earlier on in their career and newer to the industry would kind of look and think, well, why are they still training? You know, they've got work coming in. What is it that you think warrants the need to continue learning? You know, why isn't there a point that you get to and you think, right, I'm an actor now, all I need to do is work? What is it that means that the continued training and the continued upkeep of your skill set is relevant?
Well, because as actors, we have a lot of downtime. We have, like, you might work, say 3 to 6 months throughout the year. That means you've got 6 months where you're not working as an actor. And for me, that's where teaching comes in, and it's really helpful. But for those 6 months, you're not getting a chance to maybe practice your craft. You're not, and then you're showing up to set, and you might be cold. You might be a bit like, oh God, this doesn't feel right, and you know, I feel a bit out of sorts. I feel a bit out of practice, and I think that that's the reason why it's so important to keep practicing and to keep learning. The way that I've always looked at it as well is that I look at some of my performances, and I might have had like a scene or like parts of a film or parts of a TV series that I go, oh, do you know what? I nailed that. Absolutely nailed that. That was near perfect. But I've never, like, I don't know many people who have, but like put an absolutely from start to finish perfect performance together. And to be honest, if I was capable of that, if I was doing that, where's the challenge anymore?
Yeah.
So I think that's the glorious thing about this, is that you're constantly trying to achieve better. You're constantly trying to get better. But I think that like you do meet actors, and you do meet people that think that they're completely done.
Yeah.
And they're just like, yeah, you know, I've trained, yeah, you know, I've done a job, therefore I'm the finished article. And you can see you can see it in a lot of things. You see it like people who are working at the absolute height of the industry, and sometimes you can see that you go, oh, you haven't improved from one thing to the next.
Yeah.
Like, okay, but why? Because if you're getting the opportunity to work and work and work, then you should get better with each job. And I think that, like, you know, for us to think that we're done would be, and for us to think that we don't need to continue to learn, is incredibly arrogant.
Yeah.
I don't want to be arrogant. I'm already arrogant enough.
I think that's a really good point as well. It's not just the stuff you learn in the classroom; it's all the stuff you learn on set. And you know, some of the courses that we run and that's out there, you can go on to set, and if it's a show reel, if it's a scene, and so on and so forth. And I think it's really important to do that. And I was just wondering, what are some of the things that you feel that you've learned while on set that you might not have learned in a classroom setting, across all the work you've done?
You know, for me, it was hitting a mark.
Yeah, classic.
Like it's such a simple thing, but like when someone when you're on set and someone starts to chuck marks down for you, you're like, what the like, okay, I can do that. I can do that. I've got good peripheral vision and all that stuff, but that takes practice. Like, and now I'm bloody brilliant at it. But when I first started, bloody hell, like I was like I was having to do that sort of actor thing where you like take like a cheeky look down and like pretend that you're acting, but actually you're looking for
having a thought. Oh, I'm just going to think about that. Actually, yeah.
I'm just gonna think as I approach, and then I see it, and I'm just gonna hit that mark, and now I'm gonna actually start acting with you. But like I teach marks now to students, and it's I don't know, it's a really interesting thing because they get so like so frustrated with it and really nervous about it and all that stuff. And it's just like that again, that comes back to the learning your craft. That is such a simple part of our craft. But if you're able to do that without thinking about it, then you can focus on other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as far as like just being on set and learning how, I think learning that, I think that sometimes we think that like, oh my God, I've got to be emotional for this bit and I've got to do this and I've got to do that. And it becomes such like a selfish thing as an actor that you're going, oh, I need to. But actually what I've got better at, what I've learned more of, especially working with directors and DOPs and writers and all sorts, is that you start to go, am I serving the story?
Yeah.
And and sometimes, and I've heard this said, and I think it's so true, it's not our responsibility as actors to feel it. It's our responsibility to make the audience feel it.
Yeah, that's nicely worded.
Yeah, and it's like not literally not my words. I've stolen that completely. But it's yeah. I don't know who to credit. I'm sure it's been said loads and loads. But it's just, you start to learn and like seeing how other people like it's very easy as an actor to become arrogant. It's very easy as an actor to think that you're the center of the universe on set. But there are so many things that go into it. There are so many cogs. There are so many things that there are so many people that are feeding that machine that are all a part of it. Like we're I think it's like being part of like the ultimate team. You've got to make it work together. If one of those parts doesn't work, then it's not the product's not going to be as good as it can be. So I think there's just understanding the team and understanding what story you're trying to create together, and then taking the personal and the selfishness out of it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, we talk about on our masterclass specifically the moving machine, the turning cogs, and that in many ways everyone thinks they're the most important person, and I think that comes naturally through creativity because everyone cares and everyone's very passionate about what they do. So you make an interesting point, and it kind of led me to think about have you been in a scenario, and you don't have to mention names obviously, where you have kind of thought, I'm playing against someone who's actually not being all that useful for me, who's not being all that receptive to my side of the scene. We often get the question, it tends to be from people with a little bit more experience. They've been in scenarios where they're playing against someone who's really kind of not giving them much. And even that time between takes, those little moments where you might just want to share a thought with each other, or you might want to discuss things, and they're being a bit of a closed book and they're putting a bit of an arrogant wall up, as you mentioned. Have you been in a scenario like that, and how did you navigate that?
Do you know what? I have been in those situations where you're acting with someone and you're acting entirely for yourself.
Yeah.
You're not actually, and that's frustrating because as an actor then that you're not creating something together, that you're not like, if I'm trying to affect you and you're trying to affect me and we're focused on each other, then you know you're going to create like a little bit of magic.
Yeah.
Especially if things like, if everything starts to click, it really can. And that's when acting feels its absolute best. And I think that it's a strange sort of high then, that you're kind of going, like, you just feel like it's what actors like refer to as being like, oh, I was just so in it. And it's just like,
Yeah.
sometimes you get people who are like really in it, and you're like, okay, that was it was really like selfish, and
Yeah,
really
yeah.
like it wasn't good, mate. They're not going to use any of that. And then you get people who are in it, but for the right reasons, that they're actually they're entirely focused with like the other person and finding lots of like cool stuff. And I think for the most part, I have worked with people who are like that, who are receptive, who want to discuss the work and want it to be better. And it's just like, that's just glorious. It's absolutely glorious. And when you have that, it's just, I don't know, it's just really lovely, and it makes the job so easy and enjoyable. And especially when, like, it's not about being serious every single moment of the day. Like, probably what you're looking for is to actually loosen up a little bit and to be a bit more receptive. And like, I people ask me for like advice as to how to stay in character and all this kind of stuff, and I don't care that much about staying in character all day, because it's just not the thing that works for me. It doesn't keep me relaxed.
Yeah.
So I prefer to chat to people. From the second that, like, you know, if you're picked up in the morning, I like to talk to the person that's driving me. I then talk to the runners. I talk to people in makeup. I talk to like, and it's one of those things that you see all of these like you know, like celebrities and stuff, and it's just like, oh, they're such a nice actor. They're so
Yeah,
humble
yeah.
and they're so lovely, and they talk to everyone, and it's not necessarily about that. There's also a selfishness to it, where yeah, you get to meet like really interesting people, and you get to like chat through all sorts of things, but there's also a preparation element to that as well. It
Yeah.
means that I'm showing up to set, and I've been having conversations all morning. So I'm feeling receptive, and I'm feeling ready, and I can actually chat to people. I've also seen people show up to set whilst I've been like chatting to fucking everyone. Sorry, I shouldn't swear. Whilst I've been chatting to everyone, they've they've been looking like, you see other people that have literally just been on like their phones
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
haven't really been chatting to people, and then they show up to set, and then you go into a scene and you start to like run the scene, and you can see that they are nowhere near it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, like, they haven't got a clue. They're just kind of like, okay, and then they have to warm up then.
Yeah, so you're kind of using that communication as your warm up, and I suppose feeling like you're surrounded with people that you now know a little bit about, so that the kind of wall is dropped.
Yeah, and you find like a lovely amount of trust with people then, because you've got people who are having to fit you with radio mics, people who are having to do makeup and stuff like that, and they like, the people that do makeup for you might have had to have covered a spot, or like done
Yeah.
a certain thing, or like you know, they know, they've got to get to know you on quite a personal level. Even people who costume you and all of that stuff, like people get to, like, you have to make quite fast friends at points, and you have to be comfortable. And if you're not having conversations with people, then it makes that quite difficult to have that communication, and to be like, you know, happy with people. It's also what you very quickly start to understand. There are so many interesting people in this industry.
Yeah.
Like, and they vary in terms of like how nuts they are as well, which is great. I think that everyone's a little bit nuts in this industry, because you've got to be, haven't you? But yeah, I think that if you don't have those conversations, if you don't get to meet people, then you're missing a trick. And like, that's so true for a scene as well. Like, if you're speaking to someone and continuing that practice, and actually putting the onus on the other person instead of yourself, you're like, that's when it becomes so exciting. Whereas if you're just doing it for yourself, I think it becomes quite neurotic and I've seen a lot of people kind of spiral doing that as well. So it's not the form of acting that I would like to see.
As you said, it's not, you're not the storytellers overall. That's the director. And I think obviously you've worked with a lot of directors, and on the masterclasses we try to help actors and give them a lot of directors to work with. So there's a lot of different ways directors work. Some are more technical, some are more personable, and there's loads of different notes and things like that. So I think it'd just be lovely to hear about how you've got certain bits of direction that maybe you found difficult to sort of put it into your own in performance, or some directors that you just like, they could look at you and you're like, I know what they want, and it's that sort of communication breakdown or communication flourish between the director and an actor. That'd be really interesting.
Do you know, it's interesting that I've been seeing a lot lately of people saying that film and television is a director's medium, and then other people going, no, it's an editor's medium. And that kind of, again, it just takes the teamwork out of it. Like, I think that there are so many levels to this, and there are so many levels of storytelling to it, that it doesn't just belong to one person. There's, like, and there's also the level, like if we break down to like simple terms, you've got what the writer brings to it, what the actor then brings to the writing, what the director brings to it, then what the editor brings, and then it's also what the audience puts on top of it of their own feeling. So we've got all of those layers that just add to this. Like, that's what can make a story and make it miles better. As far as, so that, like I don't know if there was an interview with Ethan Hawke where he talks about some of the directors that he's worked with, where he says that they're good at setting up shots, but they're not necessarily good at giving like an actor's note. Now, I have experienced that before, but what you find is that sometimes directors might not have the actor's language. They might not know how to give an action. But they know what they want, and therefore there is a discussion to be had. And so when they're having the discussion with you, that's when you've got to not so much translate, but you've just got to look for clarity. And just go like, right, okay, do you mean like you want a little bit of this, and like kind of turning it, if it's not a playable thing, trying to find a way to turn it into a playable thing. Because early in my career, I had a director come up to me and he gave me the note of just going, more pain. And I was like, okay. So you just go, I don't know what to do with that. I'm gonna clue. So then you start to really kind of go, right, okay, how do I access that, and how do I make that better? And I don't think that I managed to make the note a more playable thing. I think I literally just played the pain of it, and that worked out fine. But there's probably an element of it that could have been better. And I think that I do that better now. But that comes with experience, and it comes with working with different directors. And then, like, I've worked with there's a director called Phil John, who I've worked with on Moondogs and 2 series of a show in Wales called Bang, and he's done like Downton Abbey and all sorts, and he's doing a film at the moment. And I absolutely love Phil. I think that he's able to like direct a thing, and he'll see what the actors do first, because he wants to see what you bring to it, and then he makes decisions about shots and how you can see that he's editing in his head. And it's such a fantastic skill that he has, and I think it's down to the level of preparation that he does. But even working with him across like 2 seasons of that and a film, and sort of seeing how, like, he's very, very experienced and knows his craft and is really good at it, but even he's trying to improve it. And then when I worked with him, I worked with him last time in 2019, and he like he was always good at discussing notes and stuff like that, and he was also good at, like, I learned a lot from Phil in terms of, I was such a needy actor when I first worked with Phil, because we'd finish a take and I'd go up to him and just be like, was that all right? Was that good? Do you have any notes for me? Like could that bit be better? And he just went, just chill out. And walked off. and just left me. And I was like, okay, cool. And
Got
like,
it.
there were loads of moments like that where I really learned a lot from him.
Mm.
But then on the last time that I worked with him, he started to give actions as notes. He was like, can you just give me a little bit more of a push with that line?
Mm.
And the first time that he did that, it caught me completely off guard, because it wasn't the way that I was used to being directed by him.
Mm.
And I said to him, did you just give me an action? And he went, yes, I did. And then went back to his screen. And it was just like, but even though he was playing it off incredibly cool, and just kind of like, no, yeah, whatever, I've just given you that action. But then that also suggests, I hope he never watches this, he'll absolutely rinse me. But he that also suggests that he's been improving his craft.
Yeah.
Even though he's brilliant at it, he has still been getting better at his craft. And I'm sure that there are loads of directors out there that are doing that as well. But yeah, I think that working with a director who might not have the language in order to help you, in order to give you exactly what you need as an actor. They might not have that language, but they will know what they want. So it's about having the discussion. That's all.
Yeah, no, makes sense. And it kind of answered a similar question that we were going to mention, which is working with different directors across a series, because often, you know, they'll get their block, and you've got your character, which you see through all the episodes, and you know, you might have the kind of key director who establishes the look of the show, and then follow on episodes, you know, you're working with alternative directors, and you've kind of got your mission and your part to play. And yeah, it's a process of understanding different notes and trying to give them what they want ultimately, rather than kind of going against it.
Sir.
Jesus Christ.
Sir?
Under the desk, all of you, quickly! Please get under the desk! No!
It was going to come up. We want to talk about The Crown. You know, it's such a huge show, and I think one of the things that really made the success of it was just the vast amount of talent that was involved in it, and not necessarily wanting to talk so much about the shooting day, but more because of how big the show was, the kind of process of casting, and how that came about, and perhaps, you know, I think for somebody like you who's got a solid CV and done some fantastic work, the role that you had in season 3 was one of those that sometimes comes up for actors earlier on in their career, and it's just their little breakthrough moment. And I suppose it's what was how did that come about, first of all, and what was the casting process like, and for actors who are perhaps being given these little opportunities in a bigger picture environment, what is it that they can do that makes sure that they can use that as a bit of a bridge to other things?
So that was something that actually I had a mate. It was Catherine Stewart that I'd worked with on Bang, and she was going up for it, and she was like, there are roles in here that you'd be really good at, and you know, that was so lovely, and I think that that's what our industry should be more about, is actually just people helping people out. So then the casting director wanted to see me for the teacher role, and my agent was also putting me up for some of the minors, and because it was, so I grew up in Troyderw, which is a stone's throw away from Aberfan, and I've got family in Aberfan and all that kind of stuff, and grew up with all of those stories. Like, my nan told me those stories, and it was just, so I desperately wanted to be a part of it, because this was telling that story on a global stage.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, it's massive. Like The Crown is seen by absolutely everyone. I don't I don't care about the royals. It's not, they're not a part of like the thing that I think about at all. But you've got to give it to Netflix and to the producers of that show. They've put together a great show.
Mm.
They were also they went into Aberfan, and they were the first people, like we're talking 50 years later, they were the first people to offer survivors of that and the people in the town, to offer them counselling and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like they did a tremendous amount of good, I think.
Yeah.
So it was just, I think that it was just that it meant a lot. It's such a global show, and I done well in terms of sort of smaller projects and stuff that was very UK sort of based.
Yeah.
But to have something that was a bit more global was really lovely.
And I suppose the kind of personal connection to it was made it a bit
Yeah.
more destined, because it's one of those stories. You know, there's been many documentaries on it, but I don't know that it's been done in a dramatic.
Yeah, it's been.
side
I
of-
think it's been covered in Wales quite a lot, actually. I think that they've done things on it, but it's. I think it was the global aspect of it, and you know, I still speak to people now, and they go, I had absolutely no idea about that.
Really.
And
Yeah.
and you just kind of go, it. I think for people in Wales, it's such a huge thing for us. It was such a massive disaster, and it's left such a mark on that community that you go, it should have been, and no one was held responsible for that. No one was held responsible. The coal board, nothing happened to them, which, like, you know, we could. I know that this is not getting into the corruption of our government, but you know, I'll skip.
That's what this
skip
podcast's
past
all
that.
about.
Yeah.
We cover all sorts. We cover all sorts on this podcast. That's why I laugh when I said actors at the beginning, because we end up talking about anything.
Yeah, it was an incredible project to be a part of, and I think that they are to bring that to a global audience, as I've said, was really great to be on set. And the director Benjamin Caron was so detailed and cared a great amount about telling this story right. And so did everyone on that set. They were it was to like there were certain things like they had this massive crane and like a rain machine attached to this crane, and you know, you just see stuff like that and you go, whoa, this is big leagues.
Was that one of your? Had you done much special effects work before, in terms of being in a scene, you know, where you kind of reacting to stuff that you've not even got an inkling of when you're on set?
You know what? That was my first time properly reacting to green screen.
How was that?
It was all right. Again, because Benjamin Caron, the director, was so detailed in
Right.
everything that I was seeing, and there's the shot of me actually looking up and then looking back at the kids. But for that shot that was basically straight on,
Yeah.
the kids weren't there for that,
Right.
because they were very careful about protecting them and making sure that there was no sort of trauma that they could go through, because you don't know what, you know, certain moments might take you. And so I think that they were just kind of looking
They're
after.
very like sponges at that age, so
Yeah, for sure. So that actually felt good, and it meant that for me, I could take it to a place where you could really explore the sort of helplessness and the terror of that, without worrying about affecting them too much. So that's good. But yeah, the special effects thing, having just like a green screen outside the window that you're looking at, and then you're having to imagine this thing coming towards you. It was okay, as long as what I realized with that is that as long as you take time and allow yourself to kind of just go through the thought process of that, and allow yourself to see it, and allow yourself to kind of just, I sometimes think through, like, what am I actually feeling at this point? Okay, I'm seeing this, that's terrifying. Okay, and there's there's also the rule with film that it's, again, coming back to, it's not our job to feel it. We're also, we are because it's such a visual storytelling medium, it means that it's different to theatre. With theatre, I would have to make the audience see that I'm seeing this thing, and that might mean that my actions become a little bit bigger, for want of a better word. Whereas with this, you know that they're going to show the horrific thing. So, or they're showing the thing that I'm reacting to. Therefore, I don't have to react in a big way. I don't have to do like the big thing and kind of like give it, Billy Big Licks. I just have to see it.
Yeah.
And as long as I see it, the audience, and again, this is what I was talking about earlier, the audience will then put on top of that performance their own feeling as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that
so
makes sense.
yeah, I read that. I read that in an Anthony Hopkins biography years and years ago, like before doing The Crown, and thank God I did, because I don't know if I would have known what to have done. But he said that he was doing The Elephant Man, and that he knew that they were going to show the horrific things that were happening to John Merrick, and then it would be a cut to him in his office, to Anthony Hopkins in his office, and he knew that it is not his job to show the emotion of a horrific thing that has happened, or being told about this horrific thing. It's just his job to absorb it, allow it to be there, and just carry on. Because the audience has already seen the horrific thing. If you then start to, and again, different horses, different courses. If you're doing one of those like horror movies, like a B movie kind of thing, like maybe the style of that is that you take it to a more extreme place.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's not our job to feel it. It's our job to see it.
Yeah, and I just mentioning, we've mentioned prep, and we've also mentioned film, and also a little bit of theatre. Just want to sort of ask the question on what's the sort of first thing you do when you receive a script? How do you go about it, if that be a film, TV, or if it's theatre? And you mentioned briefly about the preparations you do when you're on set, and you get familiar with people, you talk to them, and get comfortable in the environment. How does that differ to preparation you do for theatre, or preparation you do on your own before you get to set? The work you put in.
Typically, I haven't done a lot of theatre, just by doing theatre training.
Yeah.
Like I've done, I think I've done one Shakespeare in my 12-year career. I did a lot of Shakespeare at RADA, because of course you do. But and I was pretty good at it. But I've only done it once, and that was for a theatre and education Macbeth, playing Banquo. So you're not getting to do the full text. You're just kind of like doing bits here and bits there. So you're not getting to grips with like the full thing. So I haven't actually done that much theatre. I would like to do a little bit more, I think, because it's a really good place to learn. Because anytime I've done it, I have really enjoyed it. But my focus was always television and film. Because that's where I grew up on. We didn't go to the theatre much. We used to go and watch a panto every year. I still bloody love panto.
Yeah.
I don't want to do panto because I know how hard it is.
Yeah.
I am not good at panto. I played like the Prince in like an amateur production when I was 17, 18, like before going to drama school. And I was bloody dreadful.
Yeah.
I was absolutely awful at it. Like, it's really hard. Like, it takes a certain amount of skill. And I think I was chatting to an American mate the other day, and she was just like, "Yeah, going to watch panto for the first time, I just didn't get it. Just didn't get it." Whereas I think if you're from Britain, you grow up with it, and it's just
Yeah.
a fantastic thing.
Yeah.
but yeah, I always focused on TV and film because that's what I wanted to do. But in terms of preparation for it, I think first thing you got to do is just read it. You got to read that script as many times as you can. And I think you got to do that before you go into rehearsal, before you get on set, before you do anything. I think you've just got to read it, and you've got to try and read it so you understand. So I'll try to read it so that I understand the full story first of all, and see that. I'll then read it again and try to understand my character's place within that script, and then I'll read it again and again to try and just solidify that. So then I start to make decisions about it without really making solid decisions about it. I then go through the Stanislavski 10 questions. Who am I? Where am I? All of that kind of stuff. What obstacles? All of that stuff. So again, you can find more detail and really start to find a backstory, but without inventing anything out of thin air. Like it's all got to come from a script.
Yeah.
Like the amount of times you watch a thing and someone. You see big actors do it as well, where they're just kind of going, "Oh yeah. I thought about this thing, and I kind of linked it to this," and you just kind of go, "Okay, but why? It doesn't say that in the script."
How does it connect to the dialogue? Yeah, that's a classic one actually.
We get that a lot.
I get that all the time with actors, and they come in with these incredible backstories, and you think this is amazing, but how can you connect it to the text? Where's it come from? Are there
That's
six
it.
more episodes that I've lost somewhere because I don't know where all this is from?
Yeah, because you just got if it's not in the script, it's not relevant.
Yeah.
If people talk about method acting and all of that stuff, and I don't necessarily agree with what method acting, what we understand the kind of popular term of what the public would understand as method acting, of staying in character all the time and just kind of being all moody around set and whatever.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the Tony just completely undermine people's processes. But I think that if you're playing someone who is of a certain profession, it's probably wise to go and research that profession, or to try and get to grips with what that profession entails, just in case you have to do it in the project that you're doing.
Yeah.
So when I did Our Girl, we did like a boot camp for two or 3 weeks, learning how to properly move as a team, as part of an SAS team, how we actually how to hold a weapon system, all of that stuff. And of course that adds to the show. Then that makes that show better, because you start to understand what a soldier has to do. Can I go and be a soldier? No. No. I'd be useless. Be absolutely useless. But having the understanding of it and understanding of the job is important. So again, that's what the Stanislavski 10 questions actually helps you to do. You then start to find more detail through that. I might then look at what is the physicality of this person, what might their vocal quality be, and I use a thing called leading points, and this is the thing that I learned on a BTEC when I was 19.
Right.
And that I've carried right the way throughout my career, because they didn't teach it at drama school. But it's about actually, where does a character lead from? Do they lead from their forehead? Do they lead from their chest? What and how does that affect the way that they see the world? Because we all lead from different places, and so finding out what that is can really help you along to kind of get into that character. And yeah, I really love that stuff. So then it's just about, once you've read it, continue to read it. I try then to read my characters' lines aloud, and try to say them as many different ways as I can, so that I'm not showing up to set with a set way of saying things, but that I've got an understanding of the story, an understanding of what is needed from me to tell that story in the best way possible.
Yeah, that's great. Well, finally, I think just to kind of round us off, obviously we discussed before we started recording, but the industry specifically in the UK has been a bit of a tough one more recently. A lot of people didn't quite realise the impact of the strikes in America, and how that would happen over here. But obviously, a lot of US productions and US investment, etc., meant that it's been a bit of a tricky time. We've talked about a few projects you've got coming up in the pipeline, which we can't go into too much detail on. But what would you say, just as a kind of final bit of motivation and advice for people out there who, they've got their agent, or maybe they're kind of deciding, gosh, do I need to leave my agent because I'm not getting any work? I know that's sometimes the first conclusion a lot of actors come to. What would you say they can do just to give themselves the best chances when those auditions do come up, when they do get the self-tape chance to come through? How can they really make sure that they're ticking those boxes that's going to keep them moving forward and keep the relationship with the agent in a better shape than it could be?
Well, first of all, as we discussed earlier, it's about practice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Making sure that you're practicing your craft, even though you're not getting the opportunity to do it, I think is important. Read books about it, do whatever, and like watch stuff, do whatever you can to try and just keep yourself involved within it. As far as relationship with your agent, I think that's got to be quite an honest relationship, and I think that what I found, like I had a couple of auditions back in February. And I haven't had anything since, because it's just been like such a weird time within the industry. And I'm so happy that I've got stuff coming out soon that hopefully will just just get my face out there again, because that's always the thing. But I think that you've got to be honest with your agent, and then it allows them to be honest with you. And that's not about being a dick or anything like that. It's like, I think that if you always go towards things with kindness and with the right intentions, then people will come back at you with the same intention. I've got a lovely relationship with my agent. My wife's an agent as well, so seeing how she deals with clients is really interesting and really good as well, because then that informs me as well as to maybe, if I'm looking at certain things and I'm going, I don't think that I think that with your agent as well, it's understanding that that's their career.
Yeah.
So you've got to invest in them as much as they invest in you, because it's teamwork. You're all working towards the same thing. They want you to work. It's not like they're sat there like scrolling past your face going, haha, no.
Yeah.
They're wanting you to work. They're putting you up for stuff. It's just right now the industry's in a really weird place, and that's it. I think that it will fix, it will correct, because people always want entertainment. They need entertainment, and so that. But it just might. You just hope that it's always getting into a better place than what it was before.
Yeah.
And I think that it is, and I think that it will. The thing that I'm currently focused on, and I don't know if you guys had seen this, but I'm focused on the amount of working class people that are in our industry. I think that there was a report that was released saying that it was down to 8%. Which is just a bit ridiculous. And I think that, so at the moment I'm and like, this is one of the things that's good about having downtime as an actor. It means that I get to teach. It means that I get to learn a lot more actually from teaching as well. But it means that I've now been making phone calls and doing all that kind of stuff. I'm specifically focused on Wales, because I know Wales and I know people in Wales. Like, I know colleges and stuff like that, so I can get in touch with those people. But I would like to see more working class in our industry, and I think that the further on that I get into it, the I look back at myself when I first left drama school, and probably for the first few years of my career, I was a really selfish actor. Selfish in the way that I looked at the industry, selfish in the way that I might show up to a set, like just generally. And that's become, and it's not that I'm a selfish person, but the way that I approached my work was
Yeah.
selfish. And that's become so much better.
Mm.
And I'm now realizing that actually I want to, I still want to continue to act. I'm absolutely loving that stuff. I feel really good when I get to do that stuff. Like, you know, I'm my confidence when I get to do that is higher than it's ever been.
Yeah.
But I also, I think that there's also a part of me now that thinks about how we leave the industry for the next generation, the next people coming through. And I haven't got that much influence.
Mm.
I haven't got any influence, I'll admit. But it is just one of those things that you then start to think about, that are we leaving it in a better place than when we got it?
Yeah.
And I think that that's what a lot of these things and a lot of these conversations are actually about, is that there's a lot of us within it that want it to be better,
Yeah.
and want to leave it in a better place. So I hope that continues, and I hope that we do get it to a better place and get more working class people in it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You make some really good points there, and even things for us to go away and think about in terms of what we're offering here at Actors Studio. I mean, the last couple of years we've tried to, as much as possible, create a bit more of a diverse lineup of courses that are more accessible for various people, and a big part of that has been building a bit of a partnership with Spotlight. Because the big thing for actors was, we need to be on Spotlight. We need to be on Spotlight, but I can't get the credits. I can't afford to do the free work to get the credits and then pay for training and also have to go to drama school. So, you know, we're slowly getting there, and we are seeing a shift in the kind of backgrounds that people are attending our courses from, which is great, is really good. But there's always room to push even further and you know, do what we can to still exist as a business, but where we can, you know, build bridges and open doors for people who perhaps have never been given these opportunities. So no, there's some great stuff there. We've covered a lot. We've talked about all sorts, and we kept it mostly related to acting, which is pretty good for us. So thank you very much for your time, Jack.
It's probably because I know absolutely nothing else. This is all I know.
Yeah.
You ask me, you're right. I can talk about acting, I can talk about rugby, and I can talk about being working class. That's about it.
Right. Yeah.
And Wales.
Wales. Bloody love Wales. Cymru am byth. All right.
Yeah.
No, it's all really good stuff. And Jack, you are back with us in the summer for our masterclass in screen acting in central London. So we look forward to that. For more details on that course, head to actorstudio.co.uk, where you've got a few more spaces left if you want to join Jack on that course. So keep an eye out for those dates. In the meantime, Jack, we look forward to seeing some of your projects come out on TV this year.
Fantastico. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. We will see you soon.